What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today, recapping day 2 of New York Giants mandatory minicamp. This is the second and final day of minicamp. That's right, minicamp is really mini, only 2 days, 2 short, quick practices. They're done and over with. The Giants are on break now until training camp, but we do have some takeaways from day 2 of minicamp and day 1. We'll kind of combine them, any takeaways that we missed from yesterday's practice in the practice report update video. We'll talk about minicamp. We'll talk about this next few weeks, or these next few weeks rather, and this kind of break before training camp and what to expect when we do get to training camp at the end of July. So we're going to go ahead and dive into all of that. And I'll start by saying this. Brian Daboll did announce when training camp will begin for the New York Giants. He said that the players will report on July 22nd. So we've got about a full month here before the Giants start practicing again. Well, even then, on July 22nd, they're not going to start practicing. Then it'll be a few days after. They're going to get in the building on the 22nd, start to condition, and then a few days later, they'll start doing some real practices. And as we know, about a week into training camp or so, they put the pads on and they bring the intensity. So that's what's on the horizon. The next month, it's going to be slow, but we'll still have plenty to talk about here on Fireside Giants. A lot of interviews planned and some other fun stuff, so stay tuned for that. But today's practice, minicamp, that's what Daboll had to say about training camp next month. He also mentioned, just frankly, it's going to be more intense. That's what he was trying to get across, saying, when they do get to training camp, they expect the level of intensity of these practices to rise, for things to become a bit more serious as they start having players, of course, competing for roster spots, for playing time in the preseason. So notably, we did have a few players absent for the entirety of the spring, players who did not participate in OTAs, who did not participate in minicamp. And some of them are expected to participate in training camp, but others, we don't really know what's going on. So number one, Malik Nabers. Brian Daboll did give an update on him today and said, no concern, he will be ready to participate at the start of training camp. So Malik will be back on the field. We're happy about that. He's good to go. July 22nd, we'll see Malik Nabers. We did not get an update on either of the 2 offensive linemen who didn't participate this spring. Those 2 offensive linemen being, of course, John Runyon Jr., the starting left guard, and Andrew Thomas, the starting left tackle. Those guys didn't practice at all this spring. We don't know if they're going to be practicing at the start of training camp, although what we've heard from Daboll and some of the coaches and reporters in the past is it's not expected to hinder their ability to perform in training camp. Again, just don't know if they're going to be ready for the start of it, but they should be good to go by the time the regular season rolls around in September. So not much concern there. Now, a couple of rookies who didn't participate this spring, we haven't gotten any clarification as to why this was the case. Darius Alexander did not participate in practice, of course, being the 3rd round pick out of Toledo that the New York Giants selected, defensive tackle, number 65 overall. And then Cam Skattebo, the exciting running back that everybody loves to hear me say his name, Skattebo. He didn't practice this spring. Again, no clarification as to why these guys didn't practice, whether that's injury or some other reason. I would assume it's probably an injury, a minor injury too. Otherwise, we would have heard something about it. If there was something significant, we would know. But it seems like those guys are taking the spring to rest up, and the Giants want them healthy and ready to go for the summer when we do get to training camp in a month from now. And that's kind of been the story for the Giants with these players who aren't practicing in the spring. They're pretty much just bubble wrapping them and playing it safe, because these spring practices, there's only so much that they're able to do. They can't wear pads. They can't hit each other. There's no contact. It's not physical. They're really just walking through 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 drills. I mean, yes, they're competing, and that's why we're doing these takeaways, because there were some standout moments, some standout plays, and some standout players. But generally speaking, these are lighter practices. They're not going to decide who does and doesn't make the roster, where a player places on the depth chart. That stuff gets sorted out in July and August. So not really concerned about the fact that Cam Skattebo and Darius Alexander didn't participate. Again, they probably just have some minor injuries. And I think anybody who showed up in the spring with a minor injury, Daboll and his staff said, let's not risk it. Let's not aggravate it and cause them to potentially miss time in the summer when it really does matter. Let's just save their body, save them, let them rest for when it matters in the summer. So that's essentially the update on any injured players, but we do have plenty to discuss in terms of the practice today. Now, I do want to start with Jaxson Dart. He did struggle at today's practice. According to Jordan Rannon of ESPN, he finished minicamp with a pair of interceptions on 6 passes. Rand had said that there were a lot of ups and downs for Jaxson Dart. Yesterday, he finished the day with a 25-yard spiral bullet down the right sideline for a touchdown. And he had a couple of really nice days in practice throughout OTAs as well. Yesterday in particular, as we discussed, was a really strong one for Jaxson Dart, first day of minicamp. But today, a little bit of a struggle. Rookie quarterback, growing pains. He actually spoke about it as well. Excuse me, to the media, saying that the windows are just closing faster. He's still getting adjusted. They don't even have the pads on. The physicality isn't there. They're not even running real offense, real defense. It's just 7-on-7 drills and 11-on-11s. But even still, Jaxson Dart said that he's recognizing these windows are closing really fast. He is still adjusting to the game speed of the NFL. And my take on it is I want him throwing interceptions now. I want him making mistakes right now, learning that the NFL speed is much different right now, firing that ball into those tight windows, having those windows close on him, and throwing all these picks. Do it now in May, in June, when it doesn't matter. When we get to July, it'll start to matter a little bit more. Still won't matter a ton. Still want him pushing the ball in the tight windows, making mistakes. Once we get to August and we're playing preseason games, keep pushing it. And when we get to the regular season, hopefully he'll start to pick up that NFL speed. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to take time, but that's why the Giants, they did the right thing this offseason, upgrading the quarterback position in front of their rookie. They've got Russell Wilson. They've got Jameis Winston. These are two guys that are used to the speed of the NFL. They're veterans. They've played in this league for many years, 14, in fact, for Russell Wilson, I believe it is. And so you're looking at a quarterback room with plenty of experience and no rush for Jaxson Dart to get into the starting lineup. So he can take his time learning to throw into these tight windows, understanding how quickly they close. I think we see a lot of quarterbacks around the NFL in recent years. Bryce Young is the number one that comes to mind. These guys jump right into the starting lineup from week one, and then immediately that closing speed is way too fast for them, and they start struggling. They start throwing interceptions. They lose their confidence, eventually get benched. Now, in the case of Bryce Young, he got benched and came back last season and played a lot better after that pause and that moment to reflect and kind of adjust to the NFL speed. But we see it all the time. We see young quarterbacks get thrown into the fire. I think you could even make the case for Daniel Jones. That first game of his rookie season versus Tampa in 2019 came out like his hair was lit on fire, played a hell of a football game, and had a lot of success in that game. A lot of that because the Buccaneers didn't have any game film on him. It was his first start. We do see that often with young quarterbacks. Their first start sometimes is a little bit electric because these teams aren't prepared for that particular quarterback. But then in the subsequent weeks, you could see that the NFL speed caught up to Daniel Jones. And again, we see this time and time again with other young quarterbacks. The speed catches up with them. It gets them off guard, especially if they have early success. They get that confidence. Well, it's pretty quick to lose confidence at the NFL level when you have all these full-grown men who've been playing this game for over a decade, running at you and running into those zone coverages and closing those windows on you. So, again, my point being here, kind of a long-winded way of making this point. I'm fine with Jaxson Dart throwing interceptions now. If you guys are having some sort of severe reaction to Dart's performance, he threw 2 picks today, whatever, don't. Just stop. It's not worth it. It's not the time for it. The Giants are doing it the right way, allowing Dart to take his time to grow and develop and making sure he gets those mistakes out at practice because he's going to have a full year of mistakes to make, right? I mean, he's going to be making mistakes still, misreading coverages in September. He's not going to learn it all by then. But that's what the beauty of this Giants quarterback room is. He doesn't need to have that stuff down in September. Doesn't need to go out onto the regular season field and recognize these disguised coverages and know where to go with the football because he's not going to be on the field. Russell Wilson will be. And they've even got Jameis just in case something goes wrong with Russ. So Jaxson Dart, take your time. Really excited about it. And hey, on that note, I'll end it positively. I said he threw a couple picks. He did struggle in today's practice. He also did throw a pair of touchdowns, one to Lil Jordan Humphrey and one to Montrell Washington. So again, ups and downs for Jaxson Dart. Can't overall be disappointed. Again, I'm just still really excited for him. I think he's really talented, and I can't wait to see his bright future here in the Big Apple. Now, talking about Russell Wilson, we did just mention him. He had another good day, threw some good passes, and today, another UDFA stood out. We talked about at minicamp day number 1, Bo Collins got into the starting lineup because Jalen Hyatt needed to get stretched out, left practice early, dealt with some sort of minor injury. So undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Bo Collins went into the starting lineup, the first team reps, caught a touchdown pass from Russ in 7-on-7s. It was a fade corner route in the back of the end zone. It was a great catch. Today, instead of Collins, it was Dalen Cambry who got into the first team reps, and he caught a touchdown pass. Bo Collins did get one later on in the day, though, working with, I think, the third team. Tommy DeVito delivered a touchdown pass to him. So that's a pair of names to keep an eye on when we do get to training camp next month. Bo Collins and Dalen Cambry. I hope I'm saying Dalen Cambry's name right. Correct me if I'm wrong if you know. But those are two undrafted rookie free agent wide receivers that the Giants have. They also do have Antoine Wells Jr., who scored a couple touchdowns early at OTAs. So keep an eye on all of these young UDFAs. Let's see how they perform in the summer. And of course, when we get to the preseason, that's where UDFAs really can make names for themselves and earn roster spots. So Bo Collins in particular has played some slot and some outside receiver at OTAs and minicamp. And he has special team experience from his time at Clemson in college. He was a transfer to Notre Dame, as I mentioned. He played for them earlier. So let's keep an eye on these guys. I do think that the Giants could have some UDFAs make the roster this year. Going in their favor is the fact that the Giants did not draft a wide receiver this offseason. They have drafted a wide receiver in every single draft class since 2020 until 2025. Their first year since 2020 not drafting one. So one of these UDFAs does have a bit of an advantage as opposed to other seasons to make the final roster. Now, we do have other former UDFAs who have made the roster in recent years. Bryce Ford Wheaton being one of them, the West Virginia freakish athlete who's 6'4", kind of similar to Bo Collins, more athletic, but more injured as well. So Bo Collins being the fresh face in the building, let's see if he can carve out a role for himself and maybe earn a spot on the 53-man roster. Same goes for Dalen Cambry. But speaking of Tommy DeVito, I mentioned he threw one of those touchdown passes to Bo Collins today. Tommy DeVito had some really funny quotes and some really interesting moments today while speaking with the media. He hasn't done a ton at OTAs and minicamp, hasn't thrown the ball a whole lot just because he's the QB4 and the QB4 is really not there to compete on a play-by-play basis. They rarely get their their reps in those 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 drills, but they're there, scout team quarterback, essentially camp arm. And Tommy DeVito, I know he is a fan favorite, so I figured I'd give you guys the update on him. He had a couple of cool quotes today. He talked about the personalities and how the competitiveness of the quarterback room is bringing the best out of everybody, saying, him and Dart and Winston and Russ are all taking it as a competition. Like they're competing with one another and they're all very different in personality, right? Like you've got Russ, Mr. Humble, Mr. Religious, Mr. Unlimited. You've got him on one corner of the room. You've got the rookie Jaxson Dart, who's got his swag and aura coming out of Ole Miss, kind of a frat dude. And then you've got Tommy Cutlets, Mr. DeVito. And then you've also got Jameis Winston, eat the W's, crab legs, or whatever. Just a wild quarterback room. I think we're all aware of how crazy this quarterback room is in terms of their personalities. But hey, it's bringing about some great competition, and it's also bringing about some great camaraderie. I've seen a lot of videos coming out of minicamp, coming out of OTAs, of these guys hanging out, having signature handshakes with one another, secret friendship handshakes, and dancing alongside one another on the practice field and just having a good time, chatting it up. So really love this quarterback room for the Giants. I think it's really cool. And I can't state how much of an upgrade it is over what the Giants had last year with, of course, Daniel Jones, Drew Lock. Tommy DeVito is still here, but he was in there last year and he was QB3. This time he's QB4. And then Tim Boyle got involved at some point last year as well. So major upgrade at quarterback, a lot more personality at quarterback. And you guys know me. If you've been viewing for a while, I can't say enough good things about personality at the quarterback position. And I can't overstate my excitement for the fact that there is some personality. So Tommy DeVito and Jaxson Dart are also becoming budding friends. They mentioned both how they've been watching a lot of Love Island together. So hanging out off the field and watching Love Island. If anybody likes Love Island and watches that show, comment W down below, I suppose. And, let me know if you're a Love Island fan and if I should check it out. I like Survivor. Survivor's a good one. That's a fun show to watch. Jaxson Dart also said that he feels as though he made tremendous strides since being drafted by the Giants and practicing with the team at OTAs. Once again, as I mentioned, saying that the windows are closing pretty quickly, but making strides and feeling like he's getting better. He also said that he's eager to take it to the next level this summer before training camp, meaning over this next month while the Giants are off. He's going to keep working hard and keep training, and he's going to try and be ready to hit the ground running by the time training camp does roll around. So really like his quotes there. And he said that his goal during the Giants offseason program has been and always will be to be the last person to leave the facility. That reminds me of Eli Manning. I remember stories, of Eli Manning always being the first one in, last one out. And, You think back to his rookie season. Obviously, I was a little too young for that, but I've heard stories and I've done my research, no doubt. But Eli Manning always set the example. He, throughout his career, I think we all know this as Giants fans, received criticism for maybe not being the most vocal and forward-facing leader, but he also received a lot of praise for always being the lead by example guy in that New York Giants locker room and always demonstrating what it means to be a New York Giant and what it means to be an athlete performing at the highest level and training at the highest level. That was Eli Manning. So I think that's cool. Jaxson Dart saying he's going to be the first guy in, last guy out. I hope it rings true. And I mean, I'm not doubting his work ethic at all. I'm just really excited to see it all take shape and come to fruition. Now, last quote from Jaxson Dart, and then we will flip over to the defensive side of the ball. He said they've had this blueprint and they've done it with different quarterbacks and have succeeded at the highest level, and that he trusts the New York Giants and their plan for his development. He also said, quote, "For me, I'm just trying to be the most coachable player I can. I want to play well in the offense and operate it at the highest level. I'm not looking for results immediately. I'm a process-driven person, so I'm taking it day by day, rep by rep." End quote there. So really like these quotes from Jaxson Dart. You guys know I'm really confident in him. As I said, and I repeat all the time, all the way back in January, before he was really on most Giants fans' radar. Shout out to my friend John Thompson for putting him on my radar. I started watching a lot of film on him in early January. By mid-January, I wrote an article and I posted it on Empire Sports Media, and I relayed the info to you guys here on Fireside Giants. And in that article, I said Jaxson Dart could be the steal of the NFL draft. I've been very high on him. I'm extremely confident in him, and I do think that he landed in the perfect situation here with the New York Giants to sit, grow, develop with some great quarterbacks in front of him and a great quarterback coach and developer and head coach Brian Daboll. So very excited about this. Really looking forward to seeing him this preseason in particular, since that's when we'll actually get some game footage on Jaxson Dart. Probably won't see him much in the regular season, but I can't wait to watch him in the preseason, which is crazy. I can't believe I'm saying I can't wait for the preseason, but I really can't wait for the preseason this year. Now, flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, here's a name that you guys are familiar with, Dane Belton. We have talked about him so much over the last few weeks. He was the standout of all of the standouts throughout OTAs. I mean, he was getting an interception almost every other practice, sometimes every single practice, like consecutive practices in a row for a few of them. I think he finished the first 6 OTAs with 4 interceptions or something ridiculous. Maybe one of them was called back, or maybe that was the 5th one. I don't even know. But he did end spring football, did end minicamp today with an interception. According to the practice report on Giants.com, he led the way in stealing possessions this spring, and he made perhaps his best play of offseason workouts, according to the report, securing a ball deflected by cornerback Art Green and tapping both feet inbounds on the right sideline just short of the goal line. So shout out to Dane Belton, 4th-year safety, who looks like he's ready for breakout. Crowded in front of him, he's got Javon Holland and Tyler Nubin as the starting safeties in front of him on the depth chart, but hey, that doesn't mean that he won't find a role in this offense. He should, and I think he will find a role, in the defense. He should, and he will, I think, find a role in the defense. He's played great this spring. If he continues that into the summer, the Giants will absolutely reward him with some more playing time this year. Keep in mind, he played only 42% of snaps last season, and still wound up with 55 total tackles and a couple of forced turnovers and turnover recovery. So he's just got a nose for the football, always have, dating back to college. And I really like Belton. I think he's an underrated player. Really excited to see how well he's performed throughout the spring. And again, just really excited to see how he performs this upcoming summer. So also on the defense, Jermaine Illuminor, right tackle for the New York Giants, was smitten over the Giants' defensive line, saying Abdul Carter, Burns, and Tibbs are going to be a hell of a trio. He had a lot of praise for them, has kind of mentioned that they've been a handful. They've been a lot to deal with. And so, he said that the trenches is where games are really won, the offensive line and the defensive line. Well, the Giants definitely have their defensive line loaded with talent, but Illuminor and the offense, let's see how that goes. Let's see if they're able to keep it together. This offensive line obviously has had their struggles in recent seasons. 3-14 last year, Illuminor mentioned nobody wants that to happen again. Everybody's sick and tired of losing, and they're working really hard to win in the trenches and hopefully win more games this season. And I pray to God that they do, because for the sake of my mental health, I don't know if I can deal with another 3-14 season. And I'm sure a lot of you Giants fans feel the same way as I do about that. So also keep in mind, guys, this weekend is Fanatics Fest. If you want to say what's up to me, meet up with me, talk Giants with me, win some stickers from me, some Fireside Giants merch from me, we're going to be doing all that at Fanatics Fest this weekend. Stay tuned to the Fireside Giants Instagram, also to the community page here on YouTube, where we'll be posting updates and letting you all know when and where to find us so you could say what's up at Fanatics Fest and hopefully win some giveaways because we're going to be doing them. So really excited for that and can't wait to see all of you there. Any closing thoughts that I do have on minicamp / OTAs? I'll just say this. You got to take everything from spring football with a grain of salt. These are just practices. Imagine if we were doing takeaways from practice during the regular season. You guys would be like, what are you doing? This is nuts. Talk about the games on Sundays. The games are what really matter. Training camp, when those practices have the pads and they're intense, those really matter. And I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't matter at all. If it didn't, I wouldn't be talking about it. It does matter. But just take a lot of these takeaways with a grain of salt. There are certain things that I think are absolute truths. Abdul Carter was a complete menace throughout OTAs and minicamp. That's going to be the case throughout training camp. He's going to be a menace in the NFL. I'm confident in that. Jaxson Dart threw some picks, really struggled today's practice. Take it with a grain of salt. We've heard stories of Brian Daboll purposely giving the defense the play call so that they can cover the routes and try and throw the quarterback off. That's part of his development of the quarterback position. You don't know if some of these picks were manufactured interceptions from Brian Daboll. He tricked Jaxson Dart. He gave the defense a play call. Who knows? So just again, take everything with a grain of salt. It's important to see these players make mistakes. It's important to see how they respond to these mistakes. And what I really take away from it is Jaxson Dart is confident. He's made these mistakes and he's just learning from them. And he's like, I'm fine with making these mistakes. I want to make these mistakes, but I also want to keep working hard, be the last one out of the building. And that's been Jaxson Dart's mentality. And I do think that's impressive. So again, we got another month now until training camp. I can't wait for training camp. I'm also going to probably attend some training camp practices. So another opportunity to meet me. And as I mentioned at the end of yesterday's episode, there is a big announcement coming on the channel. Please stay tuned to that and stay eager because this is a really cool one. It'll be a sort of Fireside Giants meetup. You'll get to meet me, interact with me, but also a Giants fan meetup. This is going to be a big go to a bar, watch week 1 all together with some extra stuff involved. So hint, hint, wink, wink. Once again, stay tuned to the channel. We'll have an official announcement video, and we'll be promoting the absolute living crap out of this over the next couple of months as we lead into September. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.
Perfect.